Hello friends, let's see the intercostal muscles. Here we can see in this figure, we can see this is the bony framework of the thoracic cavity. Here in front, this is the sternum. This is the vertebrae, that is T1, and all these are the ribs. They are 12 in number, and with the anterior end, this is the costal cartilage, and this is the bony rib. There are 12 ribs are there within thoracic cavity, and they are directly attached with the vertebral column posteriorly, while anteriorly upper 7 ribs they are directly attached with the sternum through its costal cartilage, while the 8th, ninth, and the 10th rib they are attached with the costal cartilage to the above higher costal cartilage, so indirectly with the sternum, while the 11th and the 12th rib they are not going to attach with the sternum anteriorly, and that's why these two ribs are floating. So these 12 ribs they are going to enclose the 11 intercostal spaces, and out of these 11 intercostal spaces the upper 9 intercostal spaces they are complete, while the lower 2 intercostal spaces they are open anteriorly because 11th and the 12th ribs they are floating. Out of these 11 intercostal spaces, space number 3, space number 4, space number 5 and space number 6, these 4 intercostal spaces they are called as typical intercostal spaces because these intercostal spaces they are between the typical ribs and traversed by vessels and the nerves which are exclusively concerned with the thorax. So third to sixth intercostal space they are typical intercostal space. Now when we see the intercostal space, we can see over here in this figure, this is the 3D image of the intercostal space where we have removed the other intercostal space and only a typical intercostal space is remain. When we see this image, we can see this rib at the head of the rib, it is attached with the two vertebrae. The lower articular facet of the head of the rib, it is attached with the corresponding numerical vertebrae, while the upper smaller articular facet of the head of the rib, it is going to articulate with the lower costal facet of the body of the one vertebrae higher. And this intercostal space, it is bounded above by this sharp lower margin of the above higher rib, while inferiorly it is concerned or it is bounded by the upper blunt border of the lower rib. Anteriorly, this intercostal space it is concerned with the lateral border of the sternum, while posteriorly it is concerned with the body of the corresponding vertebrae. So here we can see the intercostal space, it is passing downward and forward, and it is broader at the anterior aspect while it is narrower at the posterior part, while the most widest portion of this intercostal space it is at the interchondral level. When we see in this figure, we can easily appreciate that the posterior part of the intercostal space it lies between the two ribs, so it is purely interosseous in nature, while anterior aspect this intercostal space it lies between the two costal cartilages, and that's why it is intercartilaginous in nature. Within this intercostal space, the intercostal muscles, intercostal vessels, as well as the intercostal nerves are lying. We will see the intercostal muscles first. Now let's see the intercostal muscles. But before having the orientation of the intercostal muscles, let's orient with the structures from anterior to posterior side in case of the intercostal space. So when we see the intercostal space, most anteriorly there will be the skin as well as the subcutaneous tissue, and just below the skin and the subcutaneous tissue we find one muscle sheath, and this is externally present, and this muscle it is called as intercostalis externus. Just under it we can find one more muscle sheath, and which is internally present, and that is called as intercostalis internus. And the most deepest muscle sheath within the intercostal space, it is the transversus thoracis. And this transversus thoracis having three parts. In the middle 2/4, it is intercostalis intimus. In the anterior part, it is sternocostalis, and in the posterior part, it is subcostalis. The neurovascular bundle, which is present between the second and the third layer of the muscles, so between the intercostalis internus as well as the transversus thoracis, and mainly in the middle 2/4, that is the intercostalis intimus. Just deep to this intercostalis intimus or transversus thoracis, we find the endothoracic fascia, and this endothoracic fascia, it is the fascia just in front of the parietal pleura. Just deep to this endothoracic fascia, we find the parietal pleura as well as the visceral pleura and the lung tissue. Now let's see the intercostal muscles. These intercostal muscles, they are three in number. They are named according to their position from outer side to inner side as the intercostalis externus, intercostalis internus, and transversus thoracis. So let's see the attachment of these intercostalis muscles. Now let's see the intercostalis externus muscle. As the name suggests, this muscle is situated most outer side of the intercostal space, and when we see this muscle it extends from the sternum here to the tubercle of the rib, which is actually somewhat present here on the outer aspect of the rib. So here we cannot see it from this inner aspect, but it is present on the outer aspect. And this muscle, it is directed downward and laterally in the posterior side, while in the anterior side directed downward, forward, and medially. So as like a person put his hands into the pocket. This external intercostal muscle having anteriorly in the form of one membrane between the two cartilaginous portion, and this membrane, it is called as the anterior intercostal membrane. And posteriorly, this muscle, it is going to continuous with the posterior layer of the costotransverse ligament. So posteriorly, this external intercostal muscle, it is going to blend with this ligament, and that is the posterior layer of the costotransverse ligament. Now when we see the attachment of this external intercostal muscle, let's see in this enlarged figure. This external intercostalis muscle, it is going to arise from the lower border of the upper rib, and it is going to insert into the outer lip of the upper border of the lower rib. And here we can appreciate the direction of the fibers. These are downward, forward, and medially. Now let's see the internal intercostalis muscle or intercostalis internus muscle. When we want to see the internal intercostalis muscle, we have to remove the external intercostalis muscle. So here in this figure, this is the external intercostalis. So we have removed that portion of the external intercostalis muscle. So we can see this muscle as the internal intercostalis muscle. When we see this internal intercostalis muscle, anteriorly this muscle is fleshy in nature, the opposite to the muscles of the external intercostalis, which is actually membranous in the anterior part and going to form the anterior intercostalis membrane, while this internal intercostalis muscle, it is fleshy in the anterior part, while it is membranous in case of the posterior aspect. And this muscle, it is extend up to the posterior angle of the rib, which is somewhere present here, and from the posterior angle of the rib, this muscle, it is in the form of the membrane, or we can say in the form of the aponeurosis, and this is going to form the posterior intercostal membrane, which is going to continue with the anterior layer of the costotransverse ligament. The direction of the fibers of this internal intercostalis muscle, it is the right angle to the direction of the fibers of the external intercostalis. And this right angle direction of the fibers of the intercostalis internus with the external intercostalis, they prevent the blowing out or sucking in of the intercostal spaces during respiration. When we see the attachment of this internal intercostalis muscle, it is going to get origin from the costal groove of the upper rib and going to insert into the intermediate part of the upper border of the lower rib.
Now let's see the transversus intercostalis muscle. This transversus intercostalis muscle, it is the deepest muscle of the intercostal space and having three parts. Anteriorly, it is in the form of the sternocostalis. In the middle 2/4, it is in the form of the intercostalis intimus, and posteriorly, it is in the form of the subcostalis. So here, in the typical intercostal space, in the middle 2/4, we are going to concentrate mainly on the intercostalis intimus muscle, and this intercostalis intimus muscle, it is situated deep to the internal intercostalis muscle. So here in this figure, this is the intercostalis intimus muscle. Intercostal nerve and intercostal vessels, they are present between the intercostalis intimus and intercostalis internus muscle. So that's why the neurovascular plane is between these two muscles, that is second and the third layer of the intercostal space, and that is between the intercostalis internus in front and intercostalis intimus behind. One more important thing to note regarding this intercostalis intimus muscle is that it is absent in the upper two intercostal spaces, and that's why this neurovascular bundle, they are present within the endothoracic fascia, which lies between the intercostalis internus muscle to the outer side and the parietal pleura on the inner side. When we see the origin of this intercostalis intimus muscle, it is going to arise from somewhere here, that is from the upper lip of the costal groove of the rib above and inserted into the inner lip of the upper border of the rib below. When we see the direction of the fibers of this intercostalis intimus muscle, it is the same as like that of the direction of the fibers of the internal intercostalis. So we have seen all the three muscles. Now let's see the nerve supply of these all the three intercostalis muscles, and these all intercostal muscles, they are going to supplied by the corresponding intercostal nerve. And when we see the action of these all the three muscles, these three muscles, they are responsible collectively for prevention of the blowing out or the sucking in of the intercostal spaces during respiration, and the specific action of the external intercostalis muscle. When this external intercostalis muscle is going to contract, it is responsible for the elevation of the rib, and this elevation of the rib, it is helpful in case of the inspiration. While the specific action of the internal intercostalis muscle as well as the transversus intercostalis muscle, these muscles when get contract, it is responsible for the depression of the rib, and this depression of the rib, it is responsible for the expiration.